Okay, so a lot has happened in the past week. So these were redone. I had them in a little while ago and I liked them, but they were still a little hazy. They still are over in here, but I think that's the inside of the lens. So I redid these. I cleaned and polished these, and these, I'm sure that people out there who already own these types of cars know. There's one on the other side as well, right here. So those aren't actually fog lights, they're turning lights, which essentially means that once you turn your blinker on, let's just say I turned on my driver's side blinker, you know, obviously this is gonna flash, this is gonna flash, but this is a turning light. So as soon as you flip that switch, this turns on so that you could see out on the road to your left. So that will help you see the street in front of you where you're turning. I think that's a little unnecessary, especially if I'm using them as fog lights, because they'll just serve that purpose all the time. I contacted somebody in my area who does, you know, like electronic work and stuff for cars. I just traded mine and some cash on top of it for these. So those are gone. And here, I'll show you this too. So I've pulled out this door panel here because obviously, like I showed you before, it was absolutely destroyed. So I got new door panels and new window trim that goes around the top of the window. For some reason they're two different pieces, but that's just the way it works out here. So I got that, I got the door panel, I got this door panel as well. Besides from this hood, like I said, I did all the paint touch-ups, so I have to do like here. So I got some, paint match off of a website called Touch Up Direct, and it did a pretty good job. So I have some overspray on here that I have to try to get off. You can hear it, but it's also really dusty. So I'm going to be wet sanding this stuff here. I touched up the top of the door. This was all fading, so I touched up here as well, and the dent, which is now essentially gone, and that Touch Up Direct worked pretty well. So I'm going to wet sand that and buff that out, and hopefully it comes out pretty shiny, but the spray, the clear spray, kind of laid a little, I mean, you could hear it. It's just really rough. So I don't know how well it's going to work. So I touched up all up here, and this door as well. This door had so much imperfection that even after filling it, it still wasn't right. I plan on getting the car repainted the same color anyway, so I'm hoping that I can get some help on that. You know, actually paying a professional to do it instead of myself. But it's better than fading paint, so. Okay, so somehow there's like a fingerprint underneath the tape job. I guess I had paint on my finger and went underneath the tape and touched the chrome. Right here. Don't know how that got there. Okay, first things first, this door panel is getting put on. And I also want to figure out this while it's off. See if I can figure out why there's this gap in between this trim. I feel like it's probably missing some sort of hardware right through this hole here. So I couldn't find out what is mounting in those little holes right there to the left of the door panel that's holding in the trim. So I did remember that this side, this door is kind of, this door's good. So I pulled off this plug. There was a little plug right there where that screw is showing, and that's holding on the door trim outside right here. So I pulled that off, and I'm going to pull out that screw. So I came up with a solution. This little screw and little tiny washer. So that's not right, but it's doing what it's doing. You know, it's doing what it needs to do, I should say. So now I just have to move on to putting on this door panel. They're beige, so it doesn't really match. Like this guy, I guess he may have put in a couple of different types of interior here just to get the car set to sell. So he has like blue panels or gray panels, beige seats, beige carpet, beige center console. Half of the back is beige, so they all work fine. I just gotta figure out how to mount this because this door panel was originally rigged, and you can see all the mount points are snapped. So I'm gonna take that off and maybe borrow some off that. I don't know. Or maybe these are all I need. Maybe these screws are all I need. I'll have to figure it out. So the passenger side door panel came off. It was a few screws. There was one, let's see, there was one here. There was one right here. There was, in these green tabs, there was one right here, and one right there. So this guy and this guy hold the armrest where you would rest your arm or pull the door shut. So they had two very long screws, these guys right here, and they went up in here. So that was it, and then I just kind of had to fumble around and pull it out a little bit, and it wound up coming out. The locks, there is a light that when you open the door, it lights up the ground. So that came out, and I just got to pull this stuff off. So on the stuff that the guy just gave me, he told me that this mount, and this mount are all bad. He said that he's got the main mount here and the main mount here. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than having my stuff cracked and damaged, at least for the time being, until that shit goes as well. I'm gonna start putting that stuff back on. So if I told you that this took any longer than it did, you wouldn't believe me. I probably got out here at about 12 o'clock, so let's say it took me 15 minutes to get my stuff over here to start doing this. One side, by the way. It's 2:47, so it took me 3 hours to get this door panel on. I don't have anything to say. It works though. That's what's good. It works. It closes. It locks. It unlocks. That's what I needed to happen. So the only other thing that I could say, the pins on the door panel would not go into place. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. I checked so many times to make sure that everything was lined up. There was nothing else I could do. I just don't get it. Everything was lined up, but the door card is so thick that it's like thick and hollow. So I don't really know how else to say it. So you have your door panel, right? So all this stuff here, but then behind it is some sort of sound dampening, and then there's some sort of support throughout the door panel. On the back of that is the pins, but between the door panel itself and the back supports is about this much hollow space. It's also flimsy, so when I was pushing the door panel in to get the pins to push into place, I think that instead of, like, I didn't have enough pressure because the back was just flexing and pushing in instead of the pins going into the door. So they weren't sticking. So I wound up putting a screw up here by the handle where it goes, a couple of screws down in here where they go, and a couple of screws at the bottom. I figured if the screws are in, the door panel's not going to come off. I mean, who knows? It took me 3 hours to put it on, so couldn't really tell you how well it's going to work. But right now it works, so now I've got to start this side. Maybe it will work the way it's supposed to. Let's see what happens. Alright, let's see about the lock. Sweet. This door panel took me 15 minutes. The other one took me two hours, more than 2 hours. I put it in the same way. I just ignored the pins. The pins weren't doing anything. I tried for a minute, but it just wasn't doing it, so I wasn't going to waste my time. It is now Monday, and I finished the car Saturday night, but I just didn't want to film. Essentially, I'm just going to wrap this up. So this is done, this door panel, passenger door panel. Driver's side door panel is finished. The touch-up, let's see, I'll show you the Bondo spot. It's not super special, it could have been better, but I'm not a professional. This is just some trim I just gotta put back up. I might just leave it off because I have to roll the fenders, and that's not going to do anything for me. So that's it for this stuff for now. I want to get the car repainted the same color. I'm sure I mentioned that already. Another thing is that I found some control arms on eBay. So I just took a chance and ordered them because they were $400 as opposed to $1,000 or $2,000 or more. I was only finding stuff that was super expensive. I decided that I would try it, and if they suck, I will have eBay give me my money back and return the product. So actually, I shouldn't say if they suck, if they are not right, or if they don't fit, or if it's... As soon as I get those, I have a buddy who's very, very, very good at doing stuff with cars, so I'm going to have him come grab it with his trailer and pay him to do that stuff, just because I want it done right, and I know that he knows what he's doing, and I've never done anything like that, so I'm not going to mess with it. The next thing I'm going to be doing is the wheels and tires. The wheels and tires are what's going to stop it from passing inspection if I don't get those. This car's got all 4 different tires around, so I'm not going to buy 4 new tires and then buy new wheels and then have to buy 4 new tires again. I'm just going to do it all at once. I would say probably at the end of March. The car, I should be able to drive it regularly. I got to do some oil changes and, basic stuff that you get when you get a new car. We're coming along here, and you know what else I want to do, like, desperately? Getting in this car. The battery isn't hooked up right now because I've been doing some stuff with the lights, but getting in the car, I don't fit. My legs are crossed right here. They don't fit in the car. A, I'm sure I can adjust this seat some way, one way or another, but B, this steering wheel is just massive. It looks like a steering wheel for a truck. This is gonna go. And that would make me happy. So that's going to be it until I have some other stuff to do, which I'm sure I do. I'll figure it out. But, nice.